know, what, is it a dark green? Would you call it a forest green? I'm like, eh. I'm like, oh God, that's it. That's it. There's another one. So one of those, the moment they get the item, boom, they open up a return. I'm like,
I found a stack of records in my attic today, an Elvis picture disc and Kenny's big old hay. Put them up on eBay for the day was done. Watch the bids roll in till the morning sun.
welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. This is going to be the Thursday What's Sold video. I'm going to go over some cool, unique items. Hopefully items that you may not see, you may not think that are profitable, but I'm here to tell you that they are, and you should be looking at these and picking them up and reselling them. Hit the thumbs up to like the video, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think of the video, the talking points. I don't have many talking points, so I'm going to include 6 what sold items here. That's all my glasses, like a little speck of something up there. I have a little Jack and Coke. I have some leftover Pepsi from a sushi dinner. We like to have soda with our sushi, and had salmon, which is really good. I'm a huge fan of, well, tuna and salmon, cooked and or uncooked, either or. And sushi doesn't mean fish. For those of you that don't know, it means rice. So doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have raw fish when you're having sushi. It just means having rice. Typically, fish is associated with that. But I do like salmon. Really, really good. Really, I mean, a nice little, just a little fillet on some rice. Really, really good. But what's going on in the world? I didn't talk about it. I don't think I didn't talk about it at all on my Tuesday show. But last week was a very, I don't really think it's a very important event, but a lot of people do think it's an important event because we hear from the chairman of the Fed over at Jackson Hole, and which Jackson Hole is in Missouri. Yeah. Let me see if I am right. I'm just going to type it in here. Jackson Hole is in where? Wyoming. That's where it is. Wyoming. But either way, big speech there, lots of fluff, lots of it's not the fluff is what it is. It's a lot of, big speech, a lot of words, and, a lot of going over the past and what they plan to potentially do for the future and all that. Potentially do. Like, it's a speech about, the speech is basically just trying to give an idea of, what they're facing and how they potentially may tackle what they're facing, the situation that they're facing. And everybody is wanting, well, maybe not everybody, but most people are wanting lower interest rates. Obviously, the Fed controls that. Not necessarily the Fed chairman controls it. There's other people that are involved with it. But he is the Fed chair, so he just have a lot of power and influence. And so the speech basically boils down to, we may lower interest rates. We may do it. It's not like a thing that we are going to lower interest rates. They will have a meeting, I think, coming up soon. I forgot when it was, but it's coming up soon, in which they may determine to either leave interest rates where they're at or lower them. And if they are, so lowering interest rates is not, well, everybody wants it. And, if they do, once they do lower interest rates, you'll see the stock market take off. But lower interest rates is a sign that the economy isn't as healthy as it should be. So when they lower it, technically they're saying, oh, the economy's not looking very good. So technically, the way you should look at it is be like, oh man, the economy's not looking good. They're lowering interest rates, but the economy, and yes, the latest jobs reports and the revisions that were made are not good. Um, but our economy is based on consumption, consumers, and consumers are still spending money. So they're still somehow spending money on things. Um, I mean, it could be, it could be from borrowing. That potentially could be a thing. Which I will bring up something that kind of unrelated, but yeah, I'll bring it up because I was watching a documentary. Um, I'll bring it up in a little bit here, but either way, just add a little more Pepsi to that. I do like my soda, so whenever we do have it, I like soda. Can't really have it in the house because, what happens? We'll just drink it all. So I typically don't buy it. Unless it's like for a time we're having sushi. um uh what was I saying? So it's looking like a more favorable environment for lower interest rates due to the latest job report and the revisions that were made to the previous reports as well. What was said, if you cut through all the fluff, basically saying, yeah, the economy may not be that great, and um, we are prepared in the event that things take a turn for the worse. We are prepared to and have the tools at our discretion to be able to combat that. So, um, all in all, we may see lower interest rates. The odds of there being lower interest rates soon are pretty high. So if you are waiting for that, then you may be seeing that any moment now. And just remember, if you do see lower interest rates, obviously, then the stock market's going to love it. It makes borrowing money cheaper. And that kind of leads into my, I saw a documentary and I just kind of just want to bring it to, I don't have a big audience, but I do want to bring it to whoever's attention. About private equity. And you hear a lot about private equity firms. They manage equity money. They manage money privately. It's there in the title. And so you'll hear about them like when businesses or they'll come in and they'll get sold to a private equity. And they really come to the news when these companies fail. Most, we all know Toys R Us. We all know like a Red Lobster. Some of the places that we and that I have grown up with knowing they were sold to private equity. And private equity isn't, it's not a bad thing. Why do these companies turn to private equity? Because they have money. They have money. And they're looking for money to bail them out. That's what they're looking for. But yes, a private equity firm can come in and buy a business, and then they're obviously there to make money for the people whose money they're managing, and so they're going to look for ways to quickly make that money back. So very similar to what we do around or what I do around here. What resellers, e-commerce people, anybody in retail, really. Basically, we're trying to buy something. We're trying to make our money back and make a little bit more money on top of that. So everybody is involved in this. But the documentary, was kind of painting private equity in a bit more of a negative light than a positive light. It did, obviously it looked at both sides of it, which is what a good argument does. And we don't really hear about the positives that they do that come from it. We always hear the negatives of the companies that fail because of it. And why do they fail? And perhaps the company was already, the companies were already saddled with a lot of debt. And so they needed a bit of a bailout. They needed, they need to make a sell their business, sell their company. And private equities typically have money to spend. And, you spend money to make money. You use the money that you have to make more money. So that's what they're trying to do. However, it gets a little odd and it gets a little weird. And, they kind of do things that typically you shouldn't be doing on a personal level. You shouldn't be doing. So they buy these companies that are in, a fragile state, and they buy them up, and then obviously they're gonna want to make money off of that. So they'll figure out what kind of valuable assets they have, and sometimes they own the property or the buildings that they are conducting their business on, whether they're a restaurant or a retail company or something like that. And so they'll start selling off the property because property's pretty valuable, especially in our country. It's pretty where we're at. It's pretty valuable. So they'll start selling off the property, selling off assets here and there, to start making money back on the purchase that they made. And they're making, trying to make money on for the other people that are involved in their, who they're managing money for. So they do that, but they're still responsible for this business. And so what they then try to do is like, okay, we'll sell the properties, get the money back, make the money there, take some of that money, put it back into the business to try to, you know, keep it going. Then you kind of they are private. So first of all, they're private. So we really don't know the inner workings and what they're actually doing and all that. But from the outside looking in, it appears that they're going to sell off all the valuable assets. Then they start to take out loans, which they can do, but not under the private equity's name, or in the name of the private equity. They take out loans in the name of that business. And let's just say Toys R Us, for example, they'll take out a loan with Toys R Us's name on it. So obviously, the loan is to help pay off whatever other debts they may have. So obviously you want lower interest rate on the new loan. It goes back to interest rates again. So they're going to try to pay off that. They got to pay employees, that employees still got to get paid. Vendors still got to get paid. Maybe they sold off the land they sit on. So now they got to pay rent on that land if they're still there. So they just start borrowing. So they just start saddling the company with more and more debt. And obviously things that we are told we should not be doing, people do that. And other people, I've talked about how the U.S. government, is that person that walks into Costco with a plan to only spend about $100, and they walk out with 300, 400. They just completely blow the budget all the time. So everything that we're told as individuals not to do, everybody or companies or businesses or private equity or the government, that deal with that, have a lot of money, that have a lot of, access to a lot of funds, they do the things that they tell us not to do. Well, seems kind of backwards, doesn't it? I don't know. I just thought the documentary was very, very interesting. And, it kind of there are some, connections that we make with what we do, obviously on a I'm operating on a very tiny scale, but we try to make purchases, and we try to make our money back as quickly as possible, and try to get into the profit and all that. But it was just a very, very interesting documentary. If you want to search for it I think it was it's a Business Insider, or it was on YouTube. Business. It was recently, just a recent one, if you're interested on it. Yeah, it was on Business Insider. It was as of today, which I'm filming on Wednesday night. It was 3 days ago. So it was a pretty good little documentary. Of course, they're painting we only hear of private equity when the bad things happen, right? We only hear of many things when the bad things happen, when the negativity is what we hear about. We don't really hear about the positives that occur, and the positives to, in this case, private equity. There are always, you always want to look at both sides of the argument. Yeah. Okay. Either way, enough of that. And returns. Let's just talk about returns really quick because as soon as I clear a return, so I got a return back, I cleared it and good. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't like to see them sitting there. I like to clear them as quickly as possible. But like I said in my previous video, I perpetually always have 3 returns, and knock on wood, it's only on 3. It always happens. I got down to 2. 2 of them are coming back in transit right now. They're in transit, and then earlier today I got another one. And not only that, it was one where the person, and this is before I haven't even decided if I'm going to do this or not. If I'm going to block people for a lot of questions or not, I don't know if I'm going to do that. But this is another person that violated the amount of questions that I may or may not be blocking people for, but they asked for questions on the item, additional, what about this? What about that? Are there any chips and cracks? Are there any, what, is it a dark green? Would you call it a forest green? I'm like, I'm like, oh God, that's it. That's it. There's another one. So one of those, the moment they get the item, boom, they open up a return. I'm like, seriously? They just got it, already open a return. Luckily though, the reason is, they ordered by mistake. So, I mean, how do you ask 4 different, I'm fine with that response. I'd rather have that response than item not as described. But, how do you go from asking all these questions? Well, first, sending me an offer on the item, and then, no, asking all these questions first was how it was. Then sending me an offer, getting the item, and then saying, what did it say? What did I say? I really lost my train of thought. Um, uh, ordered by mistake. How do you go to order? What the heck? There is a changed mind one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I've never returned anything on eBay before. I actually very rarely return items. I believe and I'm I think a very informed consumer. And I'll go in and look at all the, the reviews. I'll look at all the pictures. I'll look at reviews online. If it's, something, electronic device, I'll go look at reviews on YouTube, look at people actually using the item. Do I really want that or not? Or what kind of features does it have? So I'll go through the whole, list of things before, I make a purchase. I'm obviously not talking about anything like a 10, 20, it's gotta be like 50, 60, 70, $80, $100, $200 item, $300 item. I'm going to go through and look at the reviews, see what people are saying about this. I'm not really just, well, sometimes I am. It just depends on what it is. If it's like, Scotty Pillars, I just order them whenever I need them. When they start running, getting too dull for me to rip, or not rip or carefully remove, tags off of my products. But if I'm making, I like to make the best possible choice. And I don't want to return items. I don't want to go through the hassle of returning an item. I definitely think it is a hassle. And I'm aware of dealing with returns, so I don't want to be one of those people. So I always, before I make any, most purchases, I am thoroughly investigating it and gonna make the purchase after I've gone through the whole process of determining that I actually want this item, to avoid returns. But I know people are just like return, 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 and it's wild. The other day I was at Costco. The other day I was at Costco, and there's things I should have returned at Costco too. You can return food at Costco. There were little cheese, the individual cheese packets. It's Tillamook. They package up little, slices of cheese individually packaged. And one of them I recently bought. This was like 2 or 3 months ago. As I was going through it, I realized some of the little individual packets on the inside were not sealed, or they were loose, because usually it's like all the air is sucked out of them. But some of them did not have the air sucked out of them. And I had realized this that there was an issue because I ate one and I knew it was molded. When I ate it, I was like, "Oh man, that was molded," because it tasted straight up like I was eating grass. So like, what? So like, "Oh, great. Hopefully nothing happens to me." But nothing did happen. And then I was looking at the rest of the bag and I'm like, "Oh man, there was a whole bunch of there that were like that. They were all molded already, and they weren't the air wasn't completely sucked out of them. They were still sealed, but the air wasn't sucked out of them. There were a bunch of them still molded, and I'm like, oh, I ended up just separating the molded ones and just kept the other ones. I'm like, hey. But the other day I was there and there was a person that had a little flatbed, the orange flatbeds they have, and it was stacked full of there were fans on there. There was a printer on there. It was probably stacked halfway high, and they were returning all those items. I was like, "Oh my god, what the heck?" They were actually returning all those things. I don't know if they were sealed, if they were used, if they were broken. Obviously, if they were broken, but the amount of items that they were returning, I'm like, "Geez, wow, that's annoying." I would be annoyed, and I am annoyed with returns. It annoys me for a little bit, and then, yeah, I quickly, like I said, I quickly just want to get rid of them, and just not have to, quickly get them back and inspect them and get rid of them. Definitely wait till you get it back before you do anything, because you want to make sure you get back your items and that your way you can resell them. Because the majority of the time, there's nothing wrong with them. There's no issues with them at all. They were described properly, or and most of the time, as long as you've checked and tested electronics out, and they say they're not working, typically I get them back. They're working perfectly fine. So okay, wrong mouse. Oh, let me put this on mute. I saw. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's jump into the what sold now. Now that I'm done rambling about random topics and all that, let's move on. Okay. Here's the what sold. Now, this one was really cool. This one we found at an estate sale. So, interesting. Interesting because we don't go to estate sales that often because they're not very good in our area, that is. And then this was just a super unique piece. There was nothing on it. Couldn't find anything out there on it. No data to go on. And, does that discourage me? No. We're looking at the subject matter here, and cats always sell. Cats are great pieces to look out for. And this was a really cool, interesting looking piece. I have another one. The other one, I'm trying to remember what was on top of it. It wasn't a fish like this one, but I don't remember. I do have another one. Price both the same. This one in a 6x6x6 box, $42.54 is what this sold for. So really cool piece here. Obviously there's no branding. There's no artist signature or anything like that. Just a really cool little resin sculpture. Actually, it wasn't that little. It was about just about 5 inches in height, total height. Whimsical cat teapot. Whimsical, good word to use. Got it sold. Home decor, fantasy, kind of, I don't know. I'm getting Disney vibes from it for some reason. I don't know why. We're using cat and we're using kitty in this. We're using the word collectible. So really, really cool piece. Sold relatively quickly within, when did we go? We went to this sale it was on a Sunday. Actually, matter of fact, what's today? Wednesday? It took 4 days. Took 4 days to sell. So really, really cool piece. And yeah, put $42. So you can sell these items with no names. You just gotta, it takes experience. It takes knowing that cats sell, looking for those cool, unique, interesting items. Not that cool, unique necessarily sells, but there's so many different factors here that sold this item. And not only that, but we are coming into Halloween as well too. So it kind of has an interesting, I'm thinking with the fish bones, a kind of a Halloween-ish type of theme, perhaps. So really, really cool. Hold on one second. No, never mind. I don't need to hold on. Okay. Stationery and planners, organizers. You hear me talk about them all the time. I sell them all the time. This is an at a glance brand. Typically one I would not necessarily pick up, depending on the price, of course. But this is the large one. This is a large 8x10. So really, really cool. And it was brand new. At a glance planner. What did it sell for? $35.81. Oh, I already said what the other thing went in. $35.81. They paid $16.01. This is going large padded poly bag. That pricing is a little bit high. It may sound a little bit high, and that for the 1601 for the shipping. That's because it's going to Puerto Rico. So it is going to cost a little bit more to get it out to Puerto Rico. And but really, really cool. This is leather. So definitely look out for the leather ones. They do a lot better. But I've sold faux leather and other types of material as well too. Canvas. Kind of just depends on the brand and the quality of the piece as well too. And quality you just get through experience and through, being out there in the field and looking at items, feeling items, opening them up, touching them, all that. That's how you get the sense of the quality of these products. But then again, sometimes quality doesn't necessarily sell. So it takes experience as well too. So really, really cool. At a glance, large planner. So that's just the key here. It's a large one. Okay. Hold on one second. Let's gotta pause this for 1 second. I lost my mouse. There we go. And we're back. All right. So really, really cool. At a glance, like I said, not necessarily a brand I would pick up for, but because this is a large planner, leather, brand new, we picked it up. Oh, it's a 3-ring binder as well too. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Where? There we go. Let's see. Where are you at? Oh, Oakley sunglasses. So definitely do you want to hear me go off on a rant about, or not a rant, but rambling about Oakley sunglasses, how I used to collect them, what to look out for again? 'Cause I don't know if I did mention Oakley, the last Oakley pair I sold, but either way, um, I've been finding these at Savers. They're at Savers inside the glass. This one sold for $50. I could have probably got a little bit more. The issue was they didn't have the little nose pads right here. They were missing. And there were some scratches on the lens. There was a pretty big little scratch on the lens on these here. $50, $7.10 is what they paid in shipping. Padded poly bag is what they went into. But I probably could have gotten closer to $80 had they had at least the pads, I think. I think if they had at least the pads, I could have probably gotten closer to $80. But nonetheless, still a great sale. I picked this up at Savers. Yeah, I saw the lenses and I immediately knew, oh, those are Oakleys. And as soon as I got up close and got them in my hand, I was like, okay, I know those are Oakleys now, of course, because they have the little O's right here on the side. This little part O was rubbed out, which typically here had the made in the USA on the ear. Well, it's not really a hook, but the ear hook part right here. So really cool. And these are an older variant of the half jackets. They are really, really cool sunglasses. And, I'm a huge fan. I'm still a huge fan of Oakleys, and these are Oakleys. But far as Oakley sunglasses go, I was a big Oakley. Yeah, well, I should say big, but I was a big Oakley Oakley sunglass collector because I know people who are even crazier collectors of things, of all kinds of things. So definitely keep your eye out for Oakleys. Oakleys do incredibly well. Ray-Bans do incredibly well. Surprisingly, Ray-Bans I find to be marked up a lot higher than Oakleys. Probably my guess is because most Oakleys, are like this, plastic. They may not feel as quality as Ray-Ban, 'cause Ray-Bans typically are metal. Most of them are metal. I mean, there are some Oakley metal ones as well too, but definitely keep your eye out. And like I said, find them at safer. So that's pretty cool. All right, CD holders. I've been selling some CD holders. I've been looking out for brand new ones. Used, no. Brand new, yes. And this is a really cool one. This is one of the visors. So you put the visor in your car, hold CDs along with a few other things. Nothing crazy here, but if you find it at the bins, find it for like a buck or two at a one hand. I'm lost. There we go. $15.70 is what it's sold for. So you don't want to pay too much for it. And typically you will not pay up for these types of things. So people don't really think they have any value, any resale value at all. But they still do, so you want to pay at least, $2, $3. I want to pay more than maybe $4 for it. Even though there's probably still money to be made, but I'd want to pay a little bit less than that for these types of items. Did I say $6.30 what they paid in shipping, and padded poly bag is what this went into. Next, we have a vintage beaded purse. Again, another no name item. No name on this. Look at the keywords there. We have wedding. It's got wedding vibes from it. Wedding theme, it looks like. White with black beads, top handle. That is top handle bag. It was really cool. And the moment I listed it did stick around for about 2 months. And the moment that I listed it, boom, I started getting hits on it. As far as not just lookers, but also watchers as well too. And it eventually sold for $40.98 and $5.87 what they paid in shipping. Large padded poly bag is what it went into. But really, really cool piece. It was clean too as well too. That's the other thing too. It was clean. That's the other thing about items where, it's not a Coach bag or it doesn't have a name brand behind it. It's not signed by the artist. It's got to be clean, free of chips, stains, scuffs, anything like that. And this was just inside and out. This was inside and out clean. So it has to be almost perfect for these types of items in order to get them sold. But just a really cool piece here, a really cool little purse. Obviously, I'm guessing it probably has a very, very specific type of purpose. That's why I put whiting in there. And it's sold. That's what we're trying to do. Now, this one here did not work at all. I found this over in Reno, actually. I had a good one in Reno with a Canon PowerShot. And I thought I had a battery for it. I ended up not having a battery for it. I'm like, oh, the batteries I had for Canon cameras just didn't fit this one. So like, eh. And then I'm thinking like, should I order a battery? Should I not order a battery? But it was worth it just to sell it as is. And without the battery, without having to order a battery. And then even if I order the battery, I still didn't even know if it was going to work or not. So like, I'll just sell it like it is. $30 is what it ended up selling for. $6.02 is what they paid in shipping. Small padded poly bag is what it went into. So you could definitely sell products as is. Typically, obviously, you're going to get less for it because as is not working. They're going to get less for it just because, it's not working. Easy. But there still can be value in there. You just have to pay accordingly. So when you're buying the item, make sure, with electronics, and, I've talked about this, I haven't talked about this recently. And I used to talk about it a lot more when I was at the flea market. When you're buying electronics, you want to, since most of the time you can't test it on site, what you're going to want to do is pay the least amount possible. When you do look it up, when you're looking at the comparables online, when you're looking at the comparables on eBay, what you're going to do is you're going to look to see what has sold not working. So that way, when you get it home and it doesn't work, then you can at least make some money back selling it as not working and for parts. And people do buy these things. All kinds of people that buy these parts buy, some people buy keyboards just for the keys that are on the keyboards. You pop them out and you can reuse them. Um, yeah, I've thought about selling the keys off keyboards before, but it's too much. It's too annoying. It's too annoying, too much work. Um, but you can do that. Some people just buy them, take them apart, and use some people go all the way down to the tiny little fuses and everything on the circuit board itself and reuse those with electronics. So, there's always items that are being reused and or needed for replacements. So don't let it discourage you, but pay accordingly when you find electronics and maybe you can't necessarily test it right there. Doesn't have a battery, you can't plug it in or anything like that. You want to take someone's word for it. Pay accordingly. Look up to see what they're selling for in broken or not working condition. Okay, I think that's it. I think that was 6 items, right? Yeah, that was it. We covered 6 items. Pretty cool. So let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'm gonna cut the video here and see you in the next one. Yeah, see you in the next video. That's it. I lost my mouse. Lost my mouse cursor. It's gone. Oh, there it is. Bye.
Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch and my most recent video that I did upload.